In this video today we're making a cute little sliding knot bracelet. It has a 6 beaded star wire wrap detail in the middle there and the 2 knots on the back of the bracelet to form a sliding knot. The wire wrap design in the middle is made with 2 triangles, so sort of like a Star of David. For this design here we're using 6 8mm beads, so I'm using amethyst today. And we are using the 20 gauge dead soft silver wire. So the first length we need is 11 inches of the 20 gauge wire, so I just measure and cut that to length. Then we can start to make our first bail for the wire wrap, which goes on one side of the star. Just starting on the end there, leaving a little tail straight at the very end. Then we just work with our wire to bring it around the round nose pliers 2 full loops, and then bringing this little tail around the other piece of wire to secure it in place nice and tight. Once that wire is secured in place, you can check your bail loops, make sure everything's sitting how you like it, nice and round and together. Now we can pop our beads onto our wire there. We want to put all the beads up near the bail on the other end, and then we're going to work with our wire to make it into a circle shape. Just slowly bending it around so that the end of the beads can come and meet back up where the bail is. Just straightening up your bail there, that's going to be sitting straight upwards. And then this wire is going to meet up with the bail there at the bottom. And we're just going to bring it around that bail 1 full loop. Nice and tight around the bottom there. Now with our wire we're going to start to form our star. So we're making a little triangle on each side. To do this, we bring the wire in between 2 beads at a time. So the first 2 beads, and then another 2, and then back up to the top. And then again we're doing 2, 2, and 2, which brings you back up to the top so you can wrap around the bottom of the bail there. 1 full loop around and then cutting that tail off and crimping it in nice and tight. That makes the first triangle on each side of your wrap, so that's half of the Star of David. You should have that perfect little triangle in the middle of your wrap on each side. You can just work with your wires a little bit to make sure they're sitting how you like them. You want to keep your wire nice and tight throughout this process so that your little sides of the star are nice and straight, and it should be the same on each side of the wrap as well. Now for the second half of our wire wrap star. For this one here we need 8 inches of the 20 gauge silver wire. So again we just leave a little tail there at the end and bring the wire around the round nose pliers 2 full loops. Then bring this little tail around the other piece of wire to make it nice and secure. Then we're going to hold our bail onto the wire wrap directly opposite the first bail, just on the other side there in between the 2 beads. And then I just bend it so it sits over the center when you've got your little star on its side. Now you need to hold that wire in place in between those 2 beads there, and you're going to bring your wire around to wrap in between every second bead again. Forming again another triangle on each side of your wrap between the 2 beads, which is in between the wire from the first wrap. Then it's back up to the bail and around, and then you can make your last few triangles. You should be able to see which parts need some wire down it to make your design nice and even and make the full star. And then you just bring your wire back up to the top to wrap around the bottom of the bail there. Bringing it around nice and tight and then cutting that tail off, crimping it in to make it nice and secure. By this point you should have a little star that looks sort of like this. You can use your jewellery tools now just to straighten all the wires and straighten up your bails as well. Make sure they're sitting straight and how you like them, one on each side, and that your star's sitting nice and even. Now we're going to work on the sliding knot bracelet part of our design. I'm using the 1mm waxed cotton twine today. For this design here we need two 16-inch lengths. So I just measure and cut the two lengths, and then we can pop one onto each side of our star. So I just thread one through one of the bails, and then with the ends together follow it back down to the middle, and then tie a little overhand knot there, not directly up against the bail, probably about 5mm off, and pull it nice and tight. And I just pull the threads nice and tight and tie a knot on the other end as well. Pulling your knot tight so it's at the end of the threads there. So that's one side of our bracelet there, and we can pop the other thread on as well, just threading it through that bail, popping the ends together and following it back down to the middle, tying a little overhand knot. Making sure it's even with the first side as well, pulling it nice and tight, and then tying another knot at the end of these threads as well. Now you should have something that looks like this with your wire wrap star in the middle and your threads on each side. To make our sliding knot bracelet, we lay it down with these threads coming up the top, sort of like a U shape, with these top threads curled over, and then with each one we're just going to bring it inwards and tie a little knot. Just a little simple knot on each side of the bracelet, and the loop of the knot is on the inside of the bracelet there. You want your little knots to be about even on each side. Then I just pick it up and we're going to poke each tail down the opposite knot. So this right hand side one goes down the left hand side, and this left hand side tail goes down the right hand side knot. Then we can gently pull the tails and knots nice and tight. And you should be left with a nice little sliding knot that has sort of two knots that slide together to adjust the bracelet. There's your 6 beaded star wire wrap sliding knot bracelet.